Baseball has always been one of the most interesting sports in America. It has been around for a very long time, needing little to no changes at all. Recently, there's been a dispute on whether or not baseball is still fun, and for the younger generation, people think it will be boring because of the popularity with football and basketball. Baseball needs to be saved and more exciting for everyone. So, adding this particular rule that I think will jumpstart the game will really help out the game of baseball. Today, I will be helping you understand why it is so important to not only rejuvenate the game of baseball, but I will also discuss why it's become so boring, and I also will discuss why extra innings need to be shortened up to be improved for not only the fans but also for the players. Let me begin by helping you understand why it is so important to kickstart this sport. Again, baseball is one of the most exciting sports in America. Also, it's known as America's pastime. I will always love baseball, but I personally believe that it is time for change in the game of baseball because the younger age will start looking at it and wonder why their parents or grandparents thought it was the greatest game. And to me, I think that really needs to change. Bryce Harper, the outfielder star for the Washington Nationals, has been the leader of the public icon for making baseball fun again. He, like so much others, think it is falling down and he wants change. This is Bryce Harper for you, with the hat that says "Make Baseball Fun Again." I do get why the old generation can be upset for wanting change in the baseball because that's like changing house rules, letting your kids run your rules, your new rules in your house. They've grown up watching the game of baseball, watching it how there's no time limit, even for the pitchers now. Because, for example, there's been a new rule to where pitchers have a set clock for when they can throw the baseball. There will always be excitement when a player hits a home run, steals a bag, gets a strikeout, throws a no-hitter or completes a game, or even makes a phenomenal catch on defense. But do you remember the good old times when the runner could throw his whole body into the catcher and knock the catcher on the ground? A few years ago, they changed that because the catcher for the San Francisco Giants was railroaded at home plate and caused his leg to snap. And that wasn't the first injury that occurred, but in my opinion, I think they only made that rule because Buster Posey was so young and he was an all-star for so many years. There's also a rule called the neighborhood play that allows the middle infielders like the shortstop and second baseman to be protected when they're making a play to throw out the person at first base from second base. In my opinion, players get hurt, and there's no reason to change up the game. For example, would football make players use flag instead of tackle just because they're getting hurt? No, that's part of the game, and I think they have to just deal with it. My first main point can be pretty much give you the right reason for why baseball is getting more and more boring over the years. And I think you should just let them play. And it does not help when the game is boring and you have to sit through 9 innings of baseball. And it is not a tie sport, so it can go on for hours. Unlike basketball has a clock. Football has a clock. Water polo, wrestling, all of them have clocks. The longest Major League Baseball game ever recorded was a crazy amount of 33 innings and lasted more than 8 hours and 25 minutes. How do you think you can manage sitting through a game that long while worrying about what you're doing tomorrow, whether you have school or work. And not only for the fans, but what about the players? Because unlike basketball or football, baseball is played every day most likely with 3-game series or 4-game series. And they're not playing 1 game a week to where they don't have to worry about the next day. Or even if they don't have a game the next day, they still have to be flying around most of the time. I understand baseball is 9 innings, and it can possibly go into extra innings depending on the score of the final 9 innings. But extra innings should be altered just a bit, because sitting around for nine innings can lead for hours of watching the same thing. It's kind of repetitive, and I mean, I'm fine with that, but in order to speed up the game, I feel like they need to have a little bit more sense in ending the game. Although seeing a no-hitter is fun, watching someone hit a 500-foot bomb is always more enjoyable for the fans. By placing a runner on second base, this allows the adrenaline and the energy of the game to catch up right away. I think everyone's been in a game to where they can realize that sitting and watching a game while it is going on for 4 hours and having no one on base can get really boring. So I think starting a guy on second base, which is in fact the new rule, will allow the energy of the game to pick up, and it might end the game quicker. And although free baseball is fun, people kind of want to find a winner before the 5-hour mark. And me as a pitcher, I really don't like that idea, but in reality, I think it's a great idea because of the reason of the time. Because if I'm pitching, I don't want to start off with a guy at second base, because as a pitcher, that's something you don't want to happen. You want to be able to get out of the inning with no one on, so your ERA or your earned run average doesn't go up. So when would the new rule be part of the baseball? This rule actually doesn't have a name yet, because it is just an idea for Major League Baseball, but it is in the World Baseball Classic, which is actually being played in this month. Besides that, Joe Torre also recommended to start it in the low minor league baseball as like a test, just to see how it goes. And I think that's a great idea before they start it in the majors. Why do they want this new rule exactly? As for my other main points stated, most people can understand why baseball is not as fun as it used to be, but I really believe that the real reason for it is because the games are taking way too long. Joe Torre is the executive baseball. He is the man behind the thoughts of trying out the new rule. And Joe Torre said that the MLB is plagued by a plethora of bullpen draining, fan shedding, and 15 innings of the end of the after midnight with some poor position player comically lobbing a 75-mile-per-hour fastball down Broadway. That's just a quote from Joe Torre, which allows us to really get the understanding to why Major League Baseball wants to be changed. There was 185 total extra innings in Major League Baseball in 2016, including 19-inning battle last year, which was the most of any baseball game in last year, which was held by the Cleveland Indians and the Chicago White Sox. The main reason we need this rule in baseball are very clear. For the fans, we need to make the game fun again, and for the younger generation. It starts to turn into a joke, and the biggest reason why this game just takes forever is that everybody, the players get tired and they most likely have a game the very next day. The fans came for baseball, and free baseball is always a plus, but sometimes you wear out your welcome by staying too long in a baseball game, which is kind of crazy to say because I love baseball, but it's life. A good example of this would be you take your family to a baseball game and you realize you're having a great time with the 9 innings and it's 1-0, ninth inning comes and they tie it 1-1. And it goes on for another 8 innings and you have your little daughter with you who has class the next morning and it's coming up to midnight right now. And you came to see a winner, preferably your home team. But as a parent, you have to get your child home so it can be healthy for the day tomorrow. In my opinion, it is time for change, and we need to do that right away. Having nights too long, having days too long, can lead for a less active day tomorrow. It can lead for injuries the next day because of your body being so tired. And players play the most in baseball of any other sport, playing over 150 games. Not only for your body start feeling weak the next day, but during that game, your mind starts pulling off. You start losing interest in the game at that time. I'm not saying they don't like playing the game, but they're thinking more about getting home because of their mind telling them that they're tired. And that would just get boring to watch players play that way. Does anyone have any questions for me?
So, for this because you think it'll speed up the game?
Yes. I'm a pro for this because I know it will speed up the game of baseball, preferably in the extra innings, because starting off with nobody on base is obviously the right way to do baseball, but watching 19 innings go by, there needs to be change in the game. And maybe they'll realize that in the first few innings could be the same, but maybe the 15 inning mark, they could then expand the base runner on second base.
Is it just in the minor leagues for now?
Yeah, it's just in the minor leagues for now. World Baseball Classic has that right now. They're actually the reason why Joe Torre wants to try it out is because a league in Japan and the World Baseball Classic all adopted that same rule because they want to help speed up the baseball game for the fans and the players.
I didn't know that.
I, like so many others, really appreciate the game of baseball, and I know 100% that this game will be quicker. It'll be way more highly anticipated and have way more adrenaline and energy in the game if we start this rule today. And I know it will be successful in the Major League Baseball because World Baseball Classic does it, and that has all the countries in it, and adrenaline and energy is in the roof with that. It is time we start enjoying the greatest sport in America again. Thank you.